back to Mom and Jen's talk show. So this is our one of our interesting episodes in the career management series. So with us today we have Daddy. Introduce yourself, sir.
Good day, everyone. My name is Mr Segun Olagunju.
Okay, nice to have you on Mom and Jen's Moment Talk Show.
Thank you, ma'am.
So want to do justice to this topic we refer to as emotional intelligence at the workplace. We believe that this is one very important aspect that every worker or everyone has to take, cognizance of. If you're at your place of work, you need to control your emotions. So with that being said, please sit back. Remember to subscribe to this channel, and enjoy this episode with us. All right, welcome, sir. Once again, we're happy to have you on Mom and Jen's Moment Talk Show.
Thank you so much.
So let's start by knowing what is emotional intelligence all about.
Well, emotional intelligence is, I will say that it's how someone is able to study and manage his emotions and so as to be able to create positive relationship at work.
Right. Okay, so why is it important for people to have this emotional intelligence? Why is it important?
Well, it's just like we said in the definition. It's the way by which we relate at work. Now, at workplace, we are given the opportunity to be able to work together to achieve a common goal. Now, if there are conflicts between people who are set to achieve those goals, then the goals cannot be achieved as because there will be personal interest in place standing as impediment. So for one to be able to manage his emotions, be it anger, be it any kind of fear or whatsoever, it's very, very significant in working together with people. We have people, most especially in the area that we are in here, we have people with social and economic background or social economic backgrounds, and they have different opinion, different perspective, and for us to be able to manage our own emotion, study it, know how to react to people so that you'll be able to achieve a common goal is very, very important.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir, for that tip. Okay, we want to understand the virtues attributed to emotional intelligence, especially with work ethics. What are those important virtues?
Okay, number one virtue that I would say is self-awareness.
Self-awareness.
Yes, self-awareness is and self-awareness has to do with you being able to see yourself, okay, in the light of other, or see yourself in terms of what are your character, what are your attributes, and then how will you be able to manage it so that it doesn't really stand in the way of others. Is very, very important. How do you take criticism? Do you take it constructively or otherwise? So it's very, very important. So self-awareness is very important. Another very element that I will attribute, that I will say in emotional intelligence, is motivation. All right, and as well empathy. Do you have, how much of empathy do you actually have for others? How can you put your own emotion aside to really see, being able to see people, all right, in another light, all right, and then being able to help them as well, so that the common goal that you are there for can actually be achieved.
Thank you for that take, sir. Very, very insightful. Putting yourself in one's shoes to be able to understand what they feel. Okay, so how have you been able to apply these virtues in your place of work?
Well, it's I will cite an example where we are actually given a task to do, and I was actually the one taking like the lead and all of my other colleagues, some of them were actually, I would say particularly one person was actually not being up to date as to what needs to be done. Now, the overall blame will still come on to me to say, why is this thing not done?
Right.
So, there was one thing is to react to see, okay, yes, this person is being paid to do this thing,
Absolutely.
of course, but another person, someone who is actually is able to manage himself well. See, I saw it as, no, I should actually approach this person to see why is it that this person is not able to meet up with the task.
Right.
And eventually the person opened up. He was actually depressed. He lost his family in terms of there was a problem at his home. His wife actually took the daughter, one and only daughter that they had together, away. And this was actually in the way of the job. And for me to be able to actually move closer to know the reason why this thing is done was really, really, I mean, I actually put myself in the shoes of the person, and I saw that, wow, this is really, really big. So it took our relationship not only to work, it actually took it outside.
Beyond work.
Yes.
Wow.
And I would say that when that I was able to be there for him or I emotionally as well. And at the end of the day, one thing that I actually would take out of it is that he was once working as a consultant, as estate agent consultant, and the knowledge that I would say that I have in terms of how to buy a house or whatever here in South Africa was actually from him.
Oh my goodness.
He actually outlined what the do's and the don'ts. And at the end of the day, so those were the positive that I personally enjoyed from not only chastising or pouring off my own emotion and yes on that person, rather than moving close to know why these things were not done. So that's
wow, sir, this is very deep. This is very, very deep. You know, there's a statement that is often said, no one knows tomorrow.
Yes.
And things can turn around for anybody tomorrow. So, you know, this display of empathy turned out for your good, you know, years down the line. At the end of the day, that same person was of help to you. I pray God will help each and every one of us, you know, at our places of work, wherever we find ourselves, to try and have, you know, this feeling of empathy, trying to be in people's shoe. I could just imagine if you had reacted negatively to him then. You know, I don't think that relationship would have come out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for that take. I'm sure viewers, please drop your take-homes as you're watching to let us know that you gained something from this. Sir, let's also know the implication of people that are not able to possess these virtues, you know, of emotional intelligence. What consequences will it have for them at their places of work?
Well, first and foremost, the implications are very, very not so good, because number one, it will affect the relationship between people. Number two, work will not be done as at when it's supposed to be.
True.
And also, another implication is that there will always be conflict.
Right.
There will always be conflict, because each and every time that there is probably a problem, you pour out your emotion. You are not able to master it, and therefore you pour it out, and that will have a negative impact in terms of, number one, you are not able to connect with people. Number two is that people will not even be friendly with you. And for that reason, you yourself might actually be drawing back, and it can actually lead to depression at the long run. Yes.
So there's so much bad consequences, for such kind of people.
Yes.
Wow, thank you so much, sir, for that. Let's also know, just to wrap it up, any advices or take homes for anyone that is, you know, wishing to see that he or she, you know, help to build up these virtues that could help with emotional intelligence at their places of work.
Okay. Well, number one take will be, the first take will be to study your you need to study your emotions. Okay, how do you react to things. You need to study it. Okay, have a retrospective. Did what I did in the few minutes or hours ago, I mean, what is its implication? You need to study it, your emotion. Number two, you need to study your environment at work as well, right? Also, another thing is before you actually do something or say something, you have to look at the implication it will have on others. All right, and then because by so doing, you will have actually resolved the problem before you even say a word. You have already have it at the thought or at the back of your mind. How will this person feel? What impact is it going to have on this person? So that is very, very important. Then also you need to be able to take responsibility for your actions. It's very, very important. If you have messed up, take on the responsibility. Probably you need to walk up to the person and amend. Yeah, it happens sometimes, and then for you to be able to take that responsibility, it will help to amend the relationship, and work will definitely go smooth. Yes, yes.
Woo. Thank you so much, sir. I'm really loving all these takes. Take home for me from this is take responsibility for your actions, because I know most of us are used to blame games, throwing excuses or looking for who to blame. Take responsibilities. I think that goes a long way. That is also a learning process for me. Thank you, sir, for all that you have shared. And on that note, we would love to wrap it up by wishing you all a happy day. Please drop your subscription and make sure you subscribe and drop your take homes.